On Sunday, October 19, 2025, in Barrie, Ontario, a group of about 120 people, including members of congregations of several local churches, and also non-associated citizens, met at the Spirit Catcher on the waterfront to let Mayor Alex Nuttall and his councillors know that people of good conscience will not surrender their right to care about other people, nor allow the municipal minions to criminalize compassion. It was during a sermon, a week earlier, by Reverend Canon Simon Bell of St. Margaret of Scotland Anglican Church in Barrie, that the frustration with our City Council's decision to ban citizens from providing support to those in need was perhaps best expressed.
What I'm doing is I'm tired of talking to the mayor. I'm tired of being shouted at. I'm tired of being insulted. I'm tired of sitting through meetings for hours and hours and hours where he's belligerent and horrible and nasty and insulting to us. And so I've given up on that conversation. So for me personally, I'm organizing acts of defiance. That's what I'm doing. Last Wednesday, this city introduced a bylaw. That bylaw makes it illegal for you, Joe Public, to feed somebody, to give them water, and offer them any medical care in public space. But for you, Joe Public, that could involve a fine of up to $5,000 for you giving somebody a sandwich or a bottle of water. This bylaw came out 3 years ago, went back to council, and has been brought back in again. There was no public announcement prior to it being announced, other than on the Tuesday before. And on the Wednesday, it passed 3 readings in one council meeting, signed unanimously by all of our city councillors, without debate, without contribution, without any opportunity for you, Joe Public, to say anything. Compassion is not constrained by permission of those in authority. Compassion is our duty of care to everybody, under all circumstances, everywhere. Compassion is not something that can be legalized or made illegal in any shape or form. Next Sunday at 2 o'clock, we will be gathering at this Spirit Catcher, and I'm asking you to do something. I'm asking you to arrive with a piece of food in a container, sealed food, packet of chips, chocolate bar, and a refreshment, a bottle of water, a Coke, if you like. Now I'm going to ask you to give it to somebody else. You simply giving it to somebody else is an infringement of the bylaw. That's it. The city has chosen to make you a criminal next Sunday by you giving somebody food and water.
Then, various advocates and voices within the community, including our own, spread the word to every taxpayer and voter in our city. The message of the day was, enough is enough, and the sermon on the Spirit Catcher became a public ministry for people of various faiths or none at all.
We're going to treat ourselves as a common community who offers hospitality, and hospitality starts with us and extends to others. So you've been invited here today. Hopefully you brought something with you to share with somebody else, and the idea is just simply to give it to whoever you want to give it to. If you feel so inclined, you might also just simply turn to somebody and say, hey, what are you doing after this? Do you want to join me for a cup of coffee or a beer at the brewery or something of that nature? Then do that. If there's somebody here that you thought, hey, I'd like to get to know you and have a conversation with, please feel free to do that as well, in that hospitable fashion too. So the simple act of defiance of saying, we're here for the common good, let's share it. You brought food with you, hand it out, feel gracious enough to take some. Thank you very much indeed.
This is about holding the city accountable, as Simon has said, but it's also about reclaiming public space for people. And our government is a tax-receiving government. That means they are supposed to be helping to provide for the social programs that support people. not preventing people from accessing services or prevent them from accessing public space. And so what we're doing today, just being here, is giving witness to the solidarity of people who care about people in our community, our brothers and sisters and our neighbors. So before we leave today, we're going to invite you to start handing food to each other and sharing it, and any left is going to go to one of the encampments. But before we do that, we want you to acknowledge your neighbor, because as I look around, I see people here from many different churches, also from many different community groups and neighborhoods, and people who have just come out because they care.
We gather with great hope in this Jubilee year 2025. We also gather as people of compassion, caring for one another, caring for the least among us. Jesus said, whatever you do to the least of my brothers or sisters, you do to me. The book of Deuteronomy reminds us that we are to treat the person who is in our midst, the foreigner, the alien, as justly and as properly as one of our own.
Following the demonstration, several participants, including those of Ryan's Hope, churches, and individuals, took the concept of defying the bylaw by sharing food one step further, taking the food and drink gathered at the event to share with those living on the street who need it the most. Despite what developed into heavy rain, the smaller group walked up and down Dunlop Street and performed outreach to half a dozen people in need. The remainder of the bounty from the event was then scheduled to be delivered to those in need at one of the larger remaining encampments. The people who gathered as community at the Spirit Catcher understood the power of caring about their fellow human beings, and they were willing to risk unjust fines to defy a cruel and compassionless mayor who barely won his position of authority by a micro margin of votes.
We organized this day really to protest the understanding that our city is not a place of compassion and kindness. We want to make Barrie a city of compassion and kindness. We want to ensure that everybody who calls Barrie home knows what that compassion and kindness looks like. And we've had a great turnout today, and I think folk by and large are very supportive of us moving in this direction. And we hope that yes, this will start a movement of just simply that we're here for each other. That's really what matters.
And I'm here today because of the social gospel. The gospel that calls us to try and build a world where people are not hungry, where there are homes for people, where people can live as brothers and sisters together. And that means we have to come together as a community. We have to share and be generous, but we also have to call on those we elect to positions of leadership to take those values into the decisions they make for the well-being of our community. So we're all here together today to speak, to give witness, to share food, and to acknowledge the fellowship that we have when people come together as neighbors.
I'm here today because of the scripture passage at the end of chapter 25 of Matthew's Gospel, where Jesus says, whenever you've done these actions, feeding the hungry, giving drink to the thirsty, clothing the naked, visiting the sick, those in prison, whenever you've done that to the least of these, you've done that to me. And so I want to be able to pass the final exam, as it were, and be able to answer the Lord when I meet him in eternity, that yes, I have done those things in Matthew 25. I'm glad that we were able to share some time together, share food with each other, but I'm also glad that it didn't rain while we were here. I think that's maybe a little bit of a divine sign that we've got some support in more powerful places.